All right. I'm Portia. I'm an alcoholic. I have not chaired a meeting, whatever, in quite some time. I am somebody that the way that I work my program, it is not how everybody really likes it. I say things how they are. I don't sugarcoat things. I always start my shares with if you're offended by something that I say, if you do not agree with something that I say, like, I would love to apologize. However, this is me. This is my program. This is how I have stayed sober. It's also how I fucking use. Like, call your sponsor, pray about it, put me on your fourth step. I don't really care, you know? Like, if I end up on your fourth step, like, that's a job well done for me. It means that something I said made an impact. You know, guess start at the beginning. I'm I'm obviously not from the East Coast. I'm from Orange County, California. I was raised to be like everybody else in Orange County, but it never quite clicked. I never understood why everybody around me was very concerned with appearances and money. It didn't matter to me. Up until the age of 5, I lived with my dad and my older brother, and we would go and we would visit my mother in what is a boarding care facility. I had no idea what the fuck that was. I also swear a lot, and when I try to not swear, my share gets really messy. So we're just gonna go with it. Sorry. And I didn't know why she was there. I didn't know that that wasn't normal. I didn't know that other kids had their mothers at home with them. I thought it was like a thing that you did. Like, you would go and visit your mom in a house with a bunch of other women, and they were all a little kooky. Like, they were kind of fucking weird. Like, they all had a lot of stuffed animals. Like, some would talk to themselves. They would see some shit. Like, that was it. Like, that was it. Like, that was the life. Apparently not. Apparently that wasn't normal. Fun fact. But it was never really disclosed to me up until much later in life why she was there. I nobody told me anything because once again, everything was about appearances. But once I started to get older, it was like, fuck that. Like, I have shit going on inside of me that I don't understand. I am a child and I don't know how to process my feelings. I don't know how to process my emotions, my anger, my loneliness. I don't know what to do with all of this. I was so confused and I didn't have many friends. I was just like this weird kid that would like go to school, play on the monkey bars, come back home and hang out with my cats. Not much has changed. I'm still really weird. However, I can process my emotions a little bit better. I threw a big wrench in my entire family's plan of making everything look pretty. Andy Warhol, like perfect American family. I fucked that up. Not as if it's a bad thing. My mom came home at age 5. I thought that was a normal thing. Like, I literally turned 5. We moved into this nice new house. I'm like, cool, you turned 5, you get a mom and a house, like, sweet. But things never changed. She wasn't well. I wasn't well. All of the attention was focused on her for people to notice that something wasn't okay with me. I entered therapy around 11 years old. For me, I find it very important to discuss mental health, to discuss therapy, to discuss, medication, because, that's something that Bill even talks about, and that it's okay. Again, as I said, if you find something offensive in my share, call your sponsor. If you don't have a sponsor, find a sponsor in here and call them, write about it, pray about it, put me on your fourth step. I suffered gravely within my own mental health. And as a very young child, that's not something that I was taught to understand. And within this lack of understanding, I turned to drugs and alcohol very young. At this point in time, like the internet was really becoming a thing, but it wasn't like it is now. Like there's only one main computer in the household. It was the family computer. And I really wish kids today had to like go through the struggle, because it was a fucking struggle, man. It's not like there was Google, there wasn't like all these other things. It was Jeeves. You had to ask this snappy little British guy, like all this stuff. But anywho, I digress. Not really, because Jeeves, this man on the internet, told me what my mother's medications were. And that was like my true introduction into my addiction, was my mother's medicine cabinet, like so many others. But the internet told me what would get me high. I was always searching for something that wouldn't make me feel the way that I felt inside, because the way that I felt inside was in fact that really weird, peculiar, scared, lonely, and just angry and confused girl that came home alone to hang out with her cats. Like that was it. That was my life. That was my childhood. And I didn't know what to do with that anymore. So I ran to drugs, and I ran to alcohol, and the pill stopped working. And I also didn't like how, some of them made me really itchy and I couldn't poop. And I didn't like that as a young kid. Like it wasn't like a cool thing to do, be itchy and not able to poop. But, I realized that my mom, she drank. There was always something in that big gulp. And she wasn't as sad when that big gulp was full. And there's cabinet above the fridge. And, little like 13-year-old me climbed the fridge, found the booze. And eventually I ran out of that. I wound up finding a couple of friends in school. It was for the sole purpose of not being entirely lonely, but also because I knew that they had something that would make me not feel the way that I felt. Because that's all it was. I was searching for something to not make me feel. It wasn't to feel better or to feel cooler. It was to make me not feel. That's what I hated feeling. That's all that my addiction and alcoholism was to feel that void. And everything that I ever did, it stopped working. I was constantly chasing. May 22nd of 2004, it was one, the chicken or the eggs situation, which one came first. I have no idea if I was ODing or if I tried to kill myself. I don't know which one came first. In all actuality, it does not matter, because it led me here. Like, I'm always very candid about this because, I was 15 years old. There's no reason for a 15-year-old to be able to get their hands on this amount of substances. I was overdosing on Vicodin, Oxycontin, cocaine, methamphetamine, and I was high out of my fucking mind. I had severe alcohol poisoning, and I had extreme blood loss because I was also, I was very into self-harm, because I was so out of it. I counted every single cut that I made on my body, and I lost count at 250. There is absolutely no fucking reason that I should be here. I should not be alive. And the only reason that I am is because that older brother that I mentioned earlier, the one that absolutely hated my guts growing up because he blamed me for our mother not living with us and for our mother not being present our entire growing up, was because he was home from college and he was in the very room next door. And I texted him saying that I'm done and I need help. He had to convince our father that it was real this time. And they rushed me to our local emergency room. And I woke up the very next morning, the adolescent psychiatric hospital, for the third time. Big whoop. And I I honestly do not remember my detox. I don't. Um, I remember bits and pieces. They called me squirrel because I didn't have anything anymore and I was so scared. Again, I was that scared little girl. I would poke my head out of my room and then run back in because there was people there. Why would I remember the day that I almost died? Because that was the last day that I ever used. I last used when I was 15 years old. I came into this program at 15. I don't know why. I'll say why I've been one of the lucky ones to come in here and be granted the opportunity to stay sober while so many of my friends and my family have died. I have absolutely no idea. And it's not because I work a perfect program, because honestly, a perfect program does not exist. There is absolutely no such thing as a perfect program, because where I fucking come from, the people that work a quote unquote perfect program are the biggest liars and the biggest cheats and the biggest predators. And those are not the people that I choose to surround myself with. The people that I have surrounded myself with from day one that I came into this really fucking weird world of Alcoholics Anonymous have been these absolutely insane people. Insane. My friends are they're the people that I call my family. They're batshit. And honestly, I have the most female friends today than I have probably in my entire recovery, because it's taken me that long to find solid women, which is really sad. I surround myself with people who take their recovery seriously, and that doesn't mean that it's people with a lot of time, because recovery and time are not the exact same thing. When I came here, I I I was a child. Like I was 15 years old and that's it. Throughout the years, I have grown up. I don't always act like an adult, that's for damn sure, but I've become a woman in these rooms. I have been given this opportunity to live because I decided to say okay. That was it. I said okay. Like I said, like I don't work this program perfectly, but I do it. I work it. I feel like I should be at a drag show. Um, anyways, but in coming in here, as I mentioned, like the people here are my family, not my actual family. And that's something that I think is very, very important. And I will end with this because, it was just Father's Day. Um, and I often hear a lot of people talk about how coming to AA, getting sober and working the steps and the promises, they all come true. And I really just want to like fucking shake people like, oh, I have the most amazing relationship with my family. And it's like, not everybody is that lucky. Like, not everybody is afforded those moments. Me, I lost my mother to this disease. Once that happened, the rest of my family, they they just kind of vanished. And true colors started to show. And it's not because I don't have my family in my life because I'm a shitty person. I don't have my family in my life because I respect myself. And I learned to respect myself here from all of you, from my family, because that is what a family does. A family loves one another, treats one another with respect, mutual respect. And it doesn't mean that everybody always gets along, but it means that we're always there for one another. For me, that has been, outside of, still being alive, um, but the greatest gift of recovery is being able to go anywhere in literally the entire world, whether it be in the physical form or online, I know that I will always be loved and love somebody else in return. Um, so thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Ross, for disrupting my evening, and thank you for my recovery.